Hi, my name is Artemisia, and JKP wanted me to talk to you about my new book, Sex and the Single Aspie. Well, I have to say, it feels great. I was a little surprised because it's quite racy. People on the spectrum want love just like everyone else, but there's so much that we don't know and understand about dating, about socializing, about sexual politics. So as I was embarking on my own journey, I started chronicling it to help me figure it out. And I figured, well, if I'm having a hard time with all this stuff, I'm sure my brothers and sisters on the spectrum are having a hard time with it too. So that was my motivation. It was never about voyeurism, exhibitionism, titillation. It's purely about education. People who know me know my first website is called Help for Asperger's. It's what I do. The Aspie Girl Society is to help my sisters on the spectrum, deal with their stuff. Well, for a million reasons. But for example, people in the world often do things just for the moment, or they may say things that they don't mean. Maybe they want to mean them, but they don't. And so for us, we might think a one-night stand is the beginning of a relationship, but for them it's just a beautiful moment, and then they move on, and we're left going, I don't understand. What did I do wrong? And it can cause a lot of pain and suffering. So, we write what we most need to learn, not what we most want to teach, and these are things that I needed to learn. Of course, there's gossip, probably a little bit of slander. There are a lot of presumptions. I've met a lot of men who heard about my book, or I tell them about the book, and they're all, I guess this means that you're easy and you'll sleep with anything. No, it definitely doesn't mean that. But when people judge you, you have to understand it's never about you. It's always about them. It's always about the lens of their own experience, their own prejudices, their own cultural upbringing, their own religious upbringing, their own neuroses. It's never about you. So if you can just detach and maybe have a conversation. I've definitely been educating people on this journey. There were really only one or two people in the book that were sort of unequivocal ratbags. My favorite was the one who criticized me for being on Tinder, for using Tinder. And the moment I went to the bathroom, he whipped out his phone and he made a Tinder date for right after hours. So he was a bit of a horrible person. And obviously the guy who beat me up doesn't get any Mr. Congeniality prizes either. But most of the people that I met are still friends. I mean, most of them are not deep friends, but most of them are still friendly acquaintances, and I can drop them a message and say, hey, how's it going, and vice versa. There are no guarantees in the world of dating. I mean, you could be married to somebody for 10 years and then find out they have a double life. They have a whole side of them that you didn't know existed. So certainly in the arena of one-night stands, quickies, booty calls, looking for boyfriends, there's all kinds of potential for danger. There are steps that you can take to protect yourself, and in fact, Jessica insisted that we put a little extra section on safety at the beginning of the book, and I'm glad she put it in there. There are no guarantees, but there are definitely steps that you can take. Well, first of all, I've never liked the term, partly because it's difficult to pronounce, and partly because it sounds like a hot beef patty sandwich from the wrong end of a cow. Years ago, I started using AS, which can interchangeably be Asperger's syndrome or autism spectrum, and most people I know have started doing that. It's very sad about Hans, but it's in the past. How you choose to identify yourself is your business. I also want to mention that, yes, this is a very heterosexual journey that I wrote about. Some of the themes will be universal, but during the writing of this book, I did not have any same-sex experiences. I have had them in the past. I wrote about that in another book, which is still unpublished. Our forthright nature, our bluntness, can really pay off sometimes. I'm very good, for example, at discouraging people I'm not interested in and encouraging people that I am interested in. I often say in the book, the whole book is really about learning the art of subtlety and seduction, because if you appear to be too keen or whatever, people will take advantage of you, etc. And I think that it is really important to hone our intuition, but I think it's always good to be humble and realize that no one is infallible. We can have intuitions that are wrong, and so it's always good to try to combine a little bit of intuition with fact and with research, and luckily I did that, and for the most part they served me well.
What responsibility does a woman have to a man in a one-night stand?
I really believe that the responsibilities are very, very similar. Respect, honesty, especially where like health and physical safety are concerned. Make sure that the man is of legal age, that he is truly consenting. That I did speak with some men who had non-consensual sex at a very young age, and this is a very serious offense. Well, not exactly. The journey to finding love is the journey to finding yourself, and I certainly did that.